then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you mount the lamps, so when you elevate the lamp, we're talking about the menorah, right? Towards the end, at the end of this verse, it actually uses the word the lampstand, the menorah. So we know we're talking about the menorah. And so the instruction is for Aaron, so that when he goes, because the priests, they did this every day. They went and they changed, they poured more oil. Remember, that's the reason for the miracle over on Hanukkah, that you were supposed to change the oil every day, but you only had oil for one day, but it lasted 8 days, while you were making more oil that was suitable for the temple. And so they would come in every day and service the lamp. And so this is the original setup. So when you elevate, when you mount the lamps, the 7 lamps, so it's one lampstand with 7, so each branch is here called a lamp.
Right.
And so when you elevate it, when you mount it, it says the 7 lamps will give light in the front of the lamp, of the lampstand, of the menorah. So to give light is the word or is the word light, but this becomes a verb here. And so we will probably say shine. If we wanted to use one verb, then we would say shine. But then we kind of lose the sense of the word light. And so, this is probably a good compromise this translation did actually. In order to preserve the word light, but make it into a verb, then they say give light. So give light in front of the menorah. So in front, this word, this is the word for face. As in being face to face with God. The Lord shining his face. You see the blessing right here? You see the light is going to shine in front of the menorah. And it represents the Lord's presence, the Lord's face shining. So every day inside the tabernacle, the light was shining, and the priest will come to make sure that the Lord's face was shining. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful thought, right? All right, we'll say a few more things about it as we go along, because the passage is a big portion of it is about this. So then verse 3, Aaron therefore did so. He elevated its lamps at the front of the lampstand. You can see all the Hebrew words being repeated here. Just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now this was the workmanship of the menorah, of the lampstand. And look, it says hammered work of gold. Hammered work of gold. The reason for this is that remember, it's 7 lamps or 7 branches. Each one had a beautiful design, and the design of the actual lamp, the very top, the design of it was actually in the form of a flower, in the form of a blossoming flower. The reason for that is that the blossoming of a flower speaks of life. It speaks of fruitfulness. And so the design, even in the design itself, is built in this notion of life. The light is also an expression of life. there's a reference there also to Genesis 1. Let there be light. And the light, John, in the Gospel of John, it says that the light is the life of man.
Yes.
Yeshua is the light. He is the life that illumines every man. So this is the very face of God shining. The very face of God giving life. In my message today, I'm going to be talking about Psalm 3. And Psalm 3 is a little bit of a dark psalm. When you read the title of the psalm, it says that this is a psalm of David when he was running away from Absalom. So it's a dark time in David's life. And right around the middle of the psalm, David says, I cried out to the Lord, and he answered me.
Amen.
And then everything changed.
Amen.
Everything changed.
Amen.
I cried out to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy mountain.
Amen.
From his holy mountain. So from the Temple Mount, that's what that means, from the temple. So from the temple, the light of God shines and it breaks through.
Amen.
But notice that what David says is that I cried out to the Lord and he answered. So if you want to put the light of God, you know, these are all abstract concepts. If you want to make it concrete, if you want something that you can touch and experience, not just an idea, but how all of that spiritual stuff transforms into very practical things for us, it's in that passage, in what David says, that when I cried out to you, you answered me. So it all transforms into hearing a word from the Lord. That's what it is all about. Hearing God. All of the light, all of the life, all of the shining, his face shining, it all comes down to this, that I hear God, that I hear his voice.
Amen.
That's how it all,
That's it.
that's how it all becomes practical.
Amen.
I need a word. I need to hear.
Amen.
A word of direction, a word of wisdom to know how to tackle whatever I'm facing. It all transforms, it all becomes practical into right here, to all of this. Hearing God. So, they're supposed to make this beautiful design, a flower of fruitfulness that goes right along with the theme of light and bringing fruitfulness on the earth. And so from its base to its flowers, it was hammered work. And it says, according to the pattern which the Lord has shown Moses. Right, so look at the word pattern, mareh, and the word shown, ra'ah. They actually have the same root. Because a pattern is something that you've seen. You know, when you draw it, you first saw it in your mind. If you're creating it from, you know, just your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are drawing, you know, say beautiful city skyline or a tree or a house, you name it. I'm not an artist, but you have to picture it in your mind. God is so visual. He is so visual. And we are too. But I think, I know in my experience, I'm not so tuned to it. But from time to time I catch myself and I realize that started with, I just saw how that could be, or how, you know, you name it, I mean, how you can act, how you can talk. The reason, you know, this is so important, visualizing is so important, is because, number one, the false religions use it a lot. Visualization, right? You can take a class on visualizing from a yoga instructor. Right. So they're actually taking human experience that God created, that belongs to us, belongs to the Holy Spirit, that He wants to use and He wants to develop in us. So we hear the word from the Lord, but we also see. We also see how things connect. That's what a pattern is. A pattern is how things connect. How are things connected to one another? That's what a pattern is. And so a pattern, yes, a pattern which the Lord has shown Moses.
Do you think that word made its way down into Spanish when you look?
Probably.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Probably. He's referring to the word to see or to look in Spanish is mirar, or mirar. And it probably is related because there's, you know, a very heavy influence from Hebrew into Ladino and Spanish. Right, Grandma?
Yes.
Something. Yes, ma'am.
I have to share something because you're talking about light. And I'll apologize first because it's not exactly what you're talking about, but it is. When I got my tablet, I decided to find out, I was doing some exploring, and I looked up the Hubble telescope and the pictures from that the Hubble telescope has taken out in space. And I saved some of the pictures, and they're absolutely exquisite. And the colors are, but we have to have light to have color. And they're too far away for our sun to affect those planets, whatever you want to call them. I'm certainly not a scientist. But Yeshua said, let there be light before he ever created the sun.
The sun, yeah.
And so his light is out there.
Shines everywhere.
It shines everywhere. It just, you talk about the Lord speaking to you in pictures, I couldn't help but have to share that, because, and if you ever want to get a blessing, just look up the Hubble telescope and some of the gorgeous pictures that they've taken of the various planets and stars and everything, and it just takes your breath away. And that's the light.
Yeah,
He's out there, millions of light years away, he's out there, and the light is there, and it's his light.
Right. It's his face. shining.
Yes, it's just so exciting.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. So according to that pattern, then he made the menorah. So again, the Lord spoke to Moses saying, we're going to transition now into the Levites themselves. We're going to learn a few things that we probably didn't know, kind of hidden on the surface of the Hebrew here. So take the Levites from among the sons of Israel and cleanse them. So look at the word to cleanse, taher. We're going to follow it because the translation is a little not optimal here. Not in this word. This word is it's fine. It's perfect. But we're going to see it in a little bit. So thus you shall do to them for their cleansing. Still good with the cleansing. Sprinkle purifying water. This is where we get into a little bit of a problem because it's not really the word taher, but it's the word chatat. What I actually think is this is an error in this software. So, and you know, this software is, I mean, take the entire Bible and make sure that underneath every word goes the right Hebrew and Greek word. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. The creators of this software, Accordance, they're actually friends of mine. I worked for them for a little bit. It's a Jewish, the wife is Jewish, she's a British Jew, and she made Aliyah, and her husband is some kind of a super duper engineer. It's extremely smart. And he went to study in Israel, they met there, they got married, and this is their baby. This software that is the best in the world. It really is the best. All scholars use this. And but from time to time, there are errors. So I think this is one. Because then the word behind it is actually the word for sin offering. Chata is the word for sin. Chatat, with a T, is the word for sin offering. Or in this case, to purify. Purify. Because that is what a sin offering does. So we don't want to call it a sin offering. You know, if God says, I'm going to sin offering you, you'll be like, what? Your English is kind of funny. How do you turn it into a verb? Purify, because that's what it does. So you define it by the function that it fulfills. That's the function, to purify. So this is water of purification. That's really what it says in the Hebrew, literally. So you're going to sprinkle this water of purification. What water is this? You remember? What water is this that you sprinkle on people?
Yeah. The red heifer.
The red heifer, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the water of purification. That is the way to take care of the strongest kind of uncleanness. See, the strongest kind of uncleanness is contact with the corpse. A corpse is the strongest source of uncleanness. So death. All uncleanness is related to death. And so because this is the inaugural dedication of the Levites, then the first thing that needs to take place is water purification. This is not the same as doing a mikvah. You're not submerged in this water, you're sprinkled this water. There are different things. In order for the Levites to even be able to come to the tabernacle, to be sprinkled, they were already cleansed with a mikvah. It's already taken care of. When they come now is a purification with the water of the red heifer, which the red heifer is a cow, which is originally a sin offering, and it is burned completely, and with the ashes, you add water and a few other things, and then you create this jar from which you have the purification water. And everybody that will come to the feast was sprinkled with this. Because it takes a whole week, then you will come a week in advance, or over a week in advance, in order for you to be purified, to be able to participate in worship and come into the temple. So they are going to be sprinkled with the water first, and then it says, and let them use a razor over their whole body. This is an area that I actually need to do a little more study as to, because this isn't the only time that this takes place. And I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to tell you that I need to study it more, because I've not taken the time to, I haven't had the time to study what is the symbolism behind it. So I owe you one.
Hold you to it.
Yes. Yes. But then it says, and wash their clothes, and they will be clean. There are two times when we see this washing of clothes. Number one, on Mount Sinai. Remember that? They were supposed to, purify, and in 3 days the Lord will come into the mountain. And one of the things they needed to do was wash their clothes.
Exodus 19.
And then also when Jacob was returning back with all his wives and children and all of this, coming back from Laban, and right after he crossed the Jordan into the promised land, then he told his family, well, let's all purify ourselves. They washed their clothes, and then they offer a sacrifice, and they ate. And in a practical kind of way, I have to go rated R here with you, because that's what Leviticus is. It's, it touches into household things. And the reason why you need to make sure you wash your clothes is because of the possibility that there was any kind of semen unwashed on your clothes. That's simple as that. Because we see in Leviticus 15 that seminal emission is one of the things that creates uncleanness. Possibly menstruation, but they were very, very careful with menstruation and with isolation and all of that. But the only reason why a man, let's put it that way, had to do that then was most likely because of seminal emission. Because there is also a loss of life involved in the seminal emission, so as it is in the menstruation as well. And so they are, again, the inaugural dedication of the Levites. We're going to cover all. It's all going to be make sure that they're all clean. Then it says, verse 8, then let them take a bowl with its grain offering, fine flour mixed with oil, and a second bowl you shall take for a sin offering. Now, if you're a Leviticus nerd, you immediately are going to say, wait a second, you didn't tell me what the first bowl was for. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
You Leviticus nerds wannabes? Let's read it again. Then let them take a bowl with its grain offering, fine flour mixed with oil, and a second bowl. He didn't say what the first bowl was for. Maybe he'll tell us later, so that we'll keep reading. So the second bowl you shall take for a sin offering. Look at the Hebrew word, chatat, right? Sin offering. I think I probably said it backwards. I want to correct myself for the sake of the recording. I think I said it backwards a little earlier. When it ends in a T, chatat, then that is a noun, or the name of a thing. In this case, the name of the sacrifice. So a sin offering. But when you turn it into a verb, then you take away the T at the end, and it's chatat. And so you translate it as purification, because now it's an action. So, at at least I'm working from memory. If I'm wrong, all the internet Hebrew scholars, don't write to me. So Numbers, verse 9, or 8-9, it says, so you shall present the Levites before the tent of meeting. So all of that was to get to this. This word, we've talked about this word. We get the word karbenu from karab, to present, to draw near, right? Karbenu, which we're going to have a karbenu coming up this summer. Karbenu is our spiritual exercise for healing and freedom, in which the word literally means draw us near. So it's a prayer. So we're telling the Lord, draw us near to you. And it comes from this root word, to present or to draw near. So you shall draw near the Levites to my presence. Draw them near to me. But look how it says it. It says before or to the face, to the face of the tent of meeting. Why? Because the presence of God is in the tent of meeting. So you can't speak well of the presence of God and not about the temple. So Christian theology is full of bad language, theological discrepancies between the presence of God and the way that the temple is referred to. Or any kind of all of the sacrifices, anything related to this subject. It stands for the presence of God. It stands for God himself. I think a couple of weeks ago or so, we read where it says, fear my tabernacle. Because his presence is fearing him. So you shall present the Levites before the tent of meeting. You shall also assemble the whole congregation of the sons of Israel and present, draw near the Levites before the Lord. Now it says before the Lord. See, it's one and the same. And the sons of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites. This is for identification. The Levites are going to represent us.
They're being ordained.
They're being ordained. Yes, we're going to have an ordination service next week. That'll be beautiful. So Aaron then shall present. I thought the word present was karab. Look. Present, karab, and now present, nuf. Why would you do that if you're a translator? Don't confuse people.
So what is new?
I'm glad you asked. That's why I do the color coding. You see something in the same color? What color would that be? I'm gonna call it purple.
Lavender. Excuse me, lavender.
Lavender.
Lavender right here in the back row, lavender.
All right, we'll let the ladies
They're
define it.
we are.
So you see that, you see present and the wave offering,
Oh, wait, it turned to Fairland.
tenufa. So you see the word nuf in the middle of it. It's the root word, right? But we still don't know what that is.
Right.
What is a wave offering?
Oh.
I knew a guy, it made me laugh. and he said, "Oh, I'm going to give a wave offering to the Lord. He will wave."
Oh, no.
Oh no, don't be so corny. That's not what that is. That's not what that is. I didn't want to say your name, Mark, no, it's not.
Mark from Guinea.
It's not Mark. So, trying to see if this is going to be, no, I don't think it's going to be defined anywhere else. So, I don't know, if you were at the Shavuot celebration in Dallas a couple of weeks ago or so, we actually, there was another gentleman and myself, we stood there with a challah, with a loaf of bread, and we kind of waved it to the east, to the west, to the south, to the north. That's a wave offering. So it really is another, when they say present, it's not a terrible translation. Just use a different word because you already used present for karat. A verse before. But it's not a terrible translation because it really, our English language is not rich in Levitical terminology. And so it's kind of limited. But it carries the same idea. You're presenting it. It's an offering. It's an offering in part. Let me put it this way. You're taking a part of a whole and you offer it in representation. So here you're taking the Levites from all of Israel as a wave offering in representation, and you present them to the Lord. That they may qualify. Look at the word qualify as a little number on it, next to it, because it's the verb is to be. So that they will be, but that's kind of incomplete in English. So you kind of have to say something a little different. The problem with qualify is that then you're thinking of, okay, what are the qualifications? So it kind of throwing you off in a different direction.
Like effort, trying to earn.
Well, either that or just, are there other things that they were supposed to do, or, it kind of sending you in a different direction, but it's just referring to the fact, that you were sprinkled, you were shaved, clothes washed, all of those, and you presented. Now you're ready. There's nothing else to qualify you. That's what qualifies you.
Could that mean separate as well?
No, we're going to see the word separated in a little bit. Yeah, it's hard to keep all the terms apart, but we have to try. So that they may qualify to perform the service of the Lord. Look at the word perform, abad, service, avodah. They're the same Hebrew word. So to serve in service of the Lord. Of course, that would be very beautiful in English. But get the idea. All right, so I want to go back a little bit to this because the Levites are a wave offering from the sons of Israel. In the sense that it's going to say, the text is going to say that only they are qualified now to do the work of the service.
Right.
And if anybody that has not gone through that process comes near, they're going to die. So, this is the same principle of election as in the election of Israel as the chosen people. Israel is to the nations what the Levites are to Israel. So if you are an Israelite in that time, and the Levites are the ones that are consecrated for this, you knew, I'm not of the right family, I'm not of the right tribe, this is never gonna happen to me. But you were happy that, hey, at least some of us get to serve there, and we all benefit from it. Well, that's the same thing with Israel. God chose one nation to draw them close to himself, so that through him, so that through them, he can bless all the nations.
Yes, amen.
So there is no sense in not celebrating that status, that election of Israel. It is actually a benefit for all of humanity
That's right.
that he chose one. Because honestly, we were doing pretty bad as all of humanity, back with, the Noah and the Tower of Babel and all of that. He had to change gears.
Amen.
And say, okay, I'm gonna choose one nation, I'm gonna bless them all still
Amen.
through one nation. Otherwise, no one would have been blessed.
Amen.
So you said Israel is to the nations what the Levites were to Jerusalem?
No, to the Jewish people, to Israel.
Okay.
Yes. So one portion of us is a wave offering to the Lord.
Amen.
So one portion of humanity, of the nations, is offered to the Lord as a wave offering, which is Israel. But remember, Romans 11 says, if the lump
Come
is
on.
holy,
Yes.
so is the rest.
Amen. Come on.
So by way of Israel being holy, they bring sanctification
Yes. Thank you.
to all of humanity.
Hallelujah.
And so through the Messiah, anyone in the nations
Thank you.
can be holy.